one of the strangest claims circulating fringe healing science websites, as well as homeopathic web pages, appears to center around the claim that there exists a miraculous healing quality surrounding many different specific frequencies. Many of these websites claim that if a person is subjected to specific frequencies, often between 250 to 600 Hz, there appears to be a profound effect on the health of an individual. Unfortunately, many of these websites lack the proper education to understand the practical methods or real-world applications of this peculiar claim, and often wrap their explanations in pseudo-scientific terms that are far more misleading than helpful. One of the most difficult to explain discoveries of the modern era first reared its head when veterinarians and animal researchers took the time to study the psychology of our feline companions, the domesticated house cat. Animal behaviorists and research biologists were curious as to the evolutionary reasoning for why cats purr, and the exact mechanisms for how it works. Considering there were no obvious biological factors behind the purring mechanisms, or scientifically plausible reasons. At first, researchers believed that cats had a special organ located near their larynx that was responsible for generating the purring sounds, and that this unknown organ could have provided an evolutionary advantage. The theory was mostly held on the assumption that cats must be exceptional to all other species, as only the feline species are recorded as purring, and must have a special mechanism for their purring abilities. The truth, however, was far more complicated. When researchers performed X-rays and autopsies on the area of the theorized organs, scientists discovered that there was no special mechanisms behind a cat's ability to purr, describing the phenomenon more closely to that of a ghost organ. Further experimentation discovered that the cause for a feline's ability to purr comes from controlled muscle contractions of the larynx and the diaphragm. As the cat inhales and exhales, air moves over the vocal cords, and tiny muscle contractions create the specific purring patterns that create that iconic feline sound. This realization proved to be one of the most puzzling discoveries surrounding feline evolution, and is still a mystery in the modern day to many of the best evolutionary animal biologists. How is it that the feline nervous system evolved in such a way to promote the development of purring, and why do cats seem to purr in the first place? To answer this difficult question, researchers looked at both the biological and evolutionary factors for the primary roles of purring. During their research, they found that cats who purred more when injured healed much faster than those who didn't, eventually realizing that the mechanisms for purring seemed to relate to cell regeneration, which caused a new evolutionary theory to form. Although all animals with vocal cords have the potential to purr, with necessary muscle contractions at specific timings, cats evolved the ability to the potential advantage it provided them. But how could it be that a cat's ability to purr is closely correlated with cell regeneration? It appears scientists funded by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration have conducted several developed studies into the healing powers of vibrational frequencies. According to NASA researchers, who studied the effects of the human body subjected to conditions on the International Space Station, astronauts subjected to 0 Gs in space suffer from immense bone loss, specifically caused by a lack of high-impact exercise. This depletion of bone tissue can lead to a variety of health problems, issues with posture, and eventual muscle depletion over time, and prevents many astronauts from staying much longer in space than is required. Hoping to solve the issue of bone depletion, researchers began to look at alternative methods of providing the human body with high-impact stimuli. Originally, the solution to the problem was created when NASA researchers designed several tightening straps, and these were used to pull astronauts down, while instructing them to run on treadmills at scheduled intervals. Though the research and practical applications showed promise, the necessary pressure and force required to stimulate high-impact bone regeneration was not sufficient to maintain healthy bone structures, and only work to slightly delay the progressive bone depletion. A viable and practical solution, however, was right around the corner. An independent team of researchers, after having received funding from NASA to solve the problem, began their research with testing the practical application of vibrational planes attached to the feet of human test subjects. They found that the vibration of the plates would radiate through the entire bone structure and would begin a stable process of bone regeneration. They theorized that the vibrational frequencies of the bone plates would cause micro-impact sites all across the bone structure, recreating normal Earth-like conditions and leading to the regeneration of bone strength for the astronauts. Once the necessary data was gathered, NASA engineers applied the findings to those on the International Space Station and found incredible results. To this day, astronauts on the ISS still use vibration pads, and this is to match the necessary requirements of high-impact exercise and prevent bone and muscular degeneration. Although the science behind the healing powers of vibrational technologies is still undergoing test trials and looking for meaningful results, there has been a rise in recent years from pseudo-scientific organizations claiming that the healing properties of vibrational technologies are due to nonsensical terminology. The evidence shows that any vibrational frequency, if sustained long enough and delivered through mechanical means via a metal plate of vibration of the body, can yield substantial health results. In fact, the leading researcher in anti-aging, David Sinclair, published several books surrounding the discovery of anti-aging properties, and this was in yeast proteins related to epigenetic theory. In his discoveries, he found that histones that are specifically produced to regenerate DNA damage and cellular destruction and reverse the symptoms of aging would begin to trigger under conditions considered stressful to individuals. It could be that through his research, the practical applications of vibrational technologies can see fruitful results. Cellular regeneration could take place immediately following the use of vibrational frequencies that cause a light disturbance to the cells in the body. In reaction to this disturbance, the sirtuin genes are most likely triggered in response and begin their process in repairing DNA, preventing telomere shortening and treating the symptoms of aging on cells. Some of the most promising results in the treatment of using vibrational frequencies are seen in elderly patients. Those who suffer from osteoporosis see strengthening of their bone over repeated and scheduled use of vibrating metal plates. Growth in muscle mass and reduction in muscle depletion is also seen in those with scheduled uses lasting longer than 30 minutes. Unfortunately, the science behind the healing properties of vibrational frequencies is still incredibly young, and many of the facts surrounding the technology are often muddled behind scam websites or out there theory claims. In more recent years, however, researchers have begun looking into the possibility of using ultrasonic waves to target areas in the body for destruction. According to researchers analysing the effects of sudden exerted force on fluid dynamics, an effect known as cavity formation can cause water subjected to a high momentum to create a temporary vacuum, as the water within the system has not yet had the time to move. In layman's terms, this means that if a container filled with water is suddenly moved fast enough that the water is unable to match the speed, a vacuum pocket will form within the water. In an attempt to maintain the momentum, the water will then push to fill this cavity vacuum and cause devastating effects on any surrounding container. Researchers in ultrasonic testing realized that with the use of specific audio frequencies, an effect similar to a vacuum cavity formation in water can be achieved in the human body and can be a more accurate and safer way to potentially destroy cancer cells, as compared to side effect inducing chemotherapy and targeted radiation treatments. Although the research and practical application is still under testing, the evidence already shows that the field of medicine involving audio and vibrational frequencies is a more than legitimate field of study and should yield incredible results over the coming decades. So what are your thoughts surrounding these strange findings related to the healing powers of specific frequencies across the audio spectrum? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.